this one.
Comeback pattern caught. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Now, sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome to the show. Great to be along with you. We are here until noon today, and that will be the kickoff of Week 18 of the NFL season. Tom Ackerman with you. We have much more to talk about aside from the NFL, but it's the first thing that comes to mind when Bills fan Scott Jagow signs off of the news. He is a super Bills fan, and I know that they are all super excited about today's game, that they know Damar Hamlin will be watching. The Bills safety who suffered cardiac arrest on Monday during the game against the Bengals had to be resuscitated on the field and taken by ambulance to UC Medical Center, where he spent basically a week in intensive care in critical condition. As the week moved along, though, he had his breathing tube removed. He was able to communicate with his family and then with the Bills and then with the public. And he tweeted yesterday, and I'm telling you, it was as good a tweet as we have ever seen in the history of tweets, the history of Twitter. Putting love into the world comes back 3 times as much, wrote Damar Hamlin yesterday. Thankful for everyone who has reached out and prayed. This will make me stronger on the road to recovery. Keep praying for me. And he put a little heart emoji, 2 hands making a heart, as I show people on our stream on, I don't do it as well as he does, on Twitter. Where are we? Twitter, Twitch, we're on Facebook, YouTube,
Facebook, Twitter,
all your social media channels, not Instagram though, right? We're not live. Okay. And he put the number 3, which is of course his number, and his number, which has been league wide. All of the teams have posted Hamlin 3 as their avatar on Twitter and profile on other social media channels. It really is special what the feeling is about this young man, 24 years old, who is back and communicating and living. And it is amazing. Also amazing is his GoFundMe page, which was set out a couple of years ago to raise $2,500 to buy toys for kids who suffered a negative impact from the COVID-19 pandemic. And it took him a couple of years to get to $2,500. Overnight, after his severe situation on the field, it had raised over $3 million. It is now at $8.3 million.
Yep.
And that foundation has decided to make sure that the public is aware as to where those funds are going to go. They're going to continue to provide updates. So if you find that GoFundMe page, which is pretty easy to find, it's on my Twitter page if you want to see it there, but everybody has links to it. By the way, Damar's Twitter handle is Hamlin Island. That is because, when you're going up against him in the secondary, he's on an island. He's going to handle you by himself, basically. I love it. I'm sure you can find everything you need, whether it's Hamlin Island or anything else. But the foundation is chasingems.com. Well, at least that's a link that's on his site, etc. It's really great. So we're going to talk more about this later on today, but I want to make sure that to me is the number one story of the day, the week, the year. Damar Hamlin is with the Buffalo Bills in spirit, no doubt about it, but also in communication and in their hearts today. That will be as good a stadium as we have ever seen in sports, really, today when the Bills take on the Patriots. There are a lot of playoff implications. We'll get into that at the end of the hour at 11:45. But what a day. What a day, really, in sports. And it's appropriate to pay tribute to him right away. We have a lot going on the show. John Mozeliak will be back. He is on the show today. That starts at 11:30 with him. We have Travis Ford, the head coach of the Billikens, at 10:30. And how about the Billikens? The Billikens win their game yesterday. 3 players in double figures. Yuri Collins led the way with a double-double. He had 11 points, 14 assists. He had 5 rebounds. And he played terrific defense yesterday. Really great defense against Daryl Banks III. He's the leading scorer for St. Bonaventure, held him to 1 point on 0 for 5 shooting. And the Billikens won their game yesterday beating St. Bonaventure, a team that's had their number, quite honestly, through the last several years. Beat them 78-55. That is a sound victory over a team that had not lost yet in the A-10. Billikens, as you know, won at St. Joseph's and then lost to UMass and gave up 90 points. You're not going to beat anybody giving up 90 points. Nobody. And SLU gives up 55 in this game to St. Bonaventure. Defense certainly a focus in doing it without arguably their best defensive player, Fred Thatch, who sadly has watched his basketball career come to an end. He will forego his final year of eligibility after dealing with an ACL tear. That is just a tough injury always and a hard rehab. And the Billikens, to their credit, they come out and they play really well. And they play well defensively, first and foremost. So we'll talk to Travis Ford about that. Gibson Jimerson, 13 points. Jake Forrester, 11. Forrester's been good for them. Big man, transfer from Temple, previously Indiana, scores in double figures in 4 straight games. And the Billikens do get a win, 78-55 over St. Bonaventure. I'll get to Mizzou in just a moment, but here's another team that had to get one yesterday. Had to. And that's Illinois. No matter who they were playing. And they were playing the 14th ranked team in the country, and that's Wisconsin. And Illinois brought it yesterday. They looked great. That's the way they can play. And that's the way they need to think about that. This is how we should be playing and who we are. Illinois beat Wisconsin 79-69. They beat them soundly. Terrence Shannon Jr. had 24 points on 7 of 11 shooting, but he also went to the line and hit 9 of 12 free throws. That's how they're going to win. Get to the line. Shannon also had 8 rebounds and a block. Illinois was supposed to win this game, by the way. You might be surprised to know, if you're an Illinois fan, maybe not. But for the rest of the basketball fans out there, or fans, period. Wisconsin, 14th ranked team in the country. Illinois unranked. You know what the spread was? Illinois favored by 7.5 at home. That's how it should be. Illinois should be winning games at home, and they should be, against most teams, winning them soundly. The Big Ten is loaded, I know, but Illinois is really good, and they're playing way under what they are. And now yesterday, I think finally they showed who they are. I would be very careful, if you're the Big Ten, underestimating Illinois. That league is going to be an absolute gauntlet. There is no dominant team, not even Purdue. Purdue lost to Rutgers at home, and Purdue narrowly escaped Ohio State. They were the number 1 team in the nation. So it just tells you a little something about what the Big Ten is. Which brings us to Missouri, which will be playing in a very difficult conference themselves. But they're taking on a Vanderbilt team yesterday that is no slouch. Vanderbilt absolutely has a resume where, they lost to NC State, but they can and will win some games in the SEC. And should not be taken lightly. And not saying that Missouri did, but the first half wasn't a great half overall for Mizzou. 34-34 was the score at the break. 51 points in the second half will get the job done. And Mizzou just found a way to hold off in front of a national audience, this Vanderbilt team, 85-82. They get Kobe Brown, 18 points, 8 rebounds. That's exactly what they need. They need their star to not rack up too many fouls and stay in the ball game, and he did just that. And the Tigers win 85-82 over a good Vanderbilt team. They've got that big man, formerly from Drake, Liam Robbins, who had 7 rebounds and a block, and he's kind of a load to deal with. Robbins for Vanderbilt had 16 points, 7 rebounds, and that block, but he had 4 fouls. And Missouri was able to get out of there with a victory. And I mentioned Brown. He had only 2 fouls this time, so he gets to play the minutes that he needs, and they win the ball game 85-82 over Vanderbilt. Some other college basketball scores to tell you about in the Missouri Valley Conference. Illinois State wins at Evansville 69-61. Belmont beats Missouri State 74-61. Northern Iowa beat a good Southern Illinois team 69-57. So if you look at these Valley standings right now, that conference is going to be really something this year, with the number 1 team, Indiana State, up by 2 games now in Southern Illinois. They're 6-0. We'll see if they can hold this, but what an impressive start for Indiana State at 6-0. You have 6 teams at 4-2 in the Valley. 6 teams at 4-2, tied for. I don't know that I've ever seen that. A 6-way tie for second place.
That is nuts.
That's nuts. Southern Illinois, Belmont, Bradley, Murray State, Northern Iowa, and Missouri State are all 4-2 in the Valley. That is going to be something. Arch Madness is in St. Louis, March 2nd through the 5th. The first time ever that they've had 12 teams in that tournament. So 4 games Thursday, 4 games Friday, 2 Saturday, and a championship on Sunday is going to be awesome. Elsewhere in college basketball with a local interest, you had the following. Southeast Missouri State wins at Arkansas Little Rock 74-68. Lindenwood loses at home to Tennessee State 60-57. SIUE, they're good. They beat Southern Indiana 69-62. It's a good USI team. SIUE is impressive now. They beat SLU. They were down 18, came back and beat them. They've won back-to-back games in their conference. They lost to Southeast Missouri State after beating SLU and Tennessee Tech, but then they came back. They beat Tennessee State and USI. Be interested to see what Brian Baroni can do with that team, but congratulations to them on a nice road win in their conference. We do have plenty coming on Sports on a Sunday morning. Our Blues breakdown will be at 10:45, so I'll save until then my thoughts on the Blues. We'll hear from Craig Berube and Nikita Alexandrov, who scored his first NHL goal, and Justin Falk, the defenseman, had some interesting things to say about a game that the Blues blew. I mean, they had the lead 3 different times and blew it actually 3 different times. So Montreal trailed 3 times in this game and won it 5-4. Blues came back, scored 2 quick goals while you were at the refrigerator getting something. You come back, they're up now 4-3, and then you go back to the fridge to get something, and Montreal's up 5-4. I mean, it's just this Blues team can't hold a lead. It's not Jordan Bennington's fault entirely. You know, he would say he'd like to have some back, I'm sure, but I don't think they're giving him the best opportunities. I've said this all along. My belief is he is their best player, and you have to support your best player. He's the one who is going to bail you out of situations. He is a good goaltender, but he's not going to be able to win you games when you're allowing too much to come his way. That's how I feel. So I just don't know how good the Blues really are. And what I worry about is they stay afloat by the playoff time. Does Doug Armstrong have to make a move to get them into the playoffs? Or are they good enough, and does he just deal Ryan O'Reilly, Vladimir Tarasenko, go get what he's got to get and build for the 23-24 season? I hate that because I want this team to be in the playoffs, and I'd love nothing more than NHL playoff hockey in St. Louis. It's awesome. But, I just think it's a mediocre Blues team that showed that yesterday. A good Blues team just puts that game away. Well, Montreal's not very good. They were 0-6-1 in their last 7. But it is what it is. And they got another game tonight. No reason to cry about it. I mean, you play tonight at Minnesota, 6:00. That's a team in your own division. Go get them and see what they can do. But it was disappointing nonetheless to see the Blues lose that game. We have a lot to discuss on Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX, including Mike Kelly, the voice of the Tigers, is going to be with us at 11:15. Really excited to talk to Mike about a number of things. One is the national championship game tomorrow. Yep. Georgia, who he knows extremely well, against TCU. That game should be exciting. I think it'll be high scoring, video game type stuff. I think Georgia's the better team, obviously, but TCU, no pushover. I mean, they showed against Michigan what they can do. I think this may be too much for them, but we'll see. I'll be pulling for them. I shouldn't say that on the air, but I do. I pull for underdogs. I don't know why that is. I'm pulling for the Bills too, okay? Bills to win the Super Bowl. Who cares? And then John Mozeliak at 11:30, the Cardinals president of baseball operations. And I know you all have a million questions for him. We only have about 10 minutes, so I'll do the best I can to get them all in. He's always been so great about coming on the show and answering questions and explaining what's going on as much as he can. Understand that he's not going to sit there and talk about free agents. He's not going to openly talk about what they're trying to do because they have to keep it close to the vest. But that's why we, as the Cardinals flagship station, we have access to John. And if you listen to him closely, he guides you along what their thinking is. He's just not going to tell you what they are going to do. But he's good about giving information, always has been. I mean, he gave us a couple of clues on Pujols. He gave us a couple of clues, I thought, on Arenado when they made that deal. I think they're pursuing pitching. I don't think there's any doubt that they're still pursuing pitching. It's just a matter of how they get it. And he told us a few weeks ago with Mike Claiborne, don't believe he said something along the lines like, I would suggest that if you're reading about us making a splash, I wouldn't read too much into it. Mm-hmm. And like hours later, Carlos Rodon went to the Yankees. So understand, and he said, our shortstop is Tommy Edman. I mean, he said it. He's not lying. So did they look at shortstops? I'm sure they did, but that's not their focus. Their focus is pitching, and I think acquiring it via trades. That's what he said they were going to do. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit with him coming up here at 11:30. And then an NFL preview at 11:45. There you have it. Sports on a Sunday morning. Back with a couple of other notes. Then we'll get Travis Ford on the air at 10:30. The head coach of the Billikens right here. Back in a moment.
For everything online, it's Odyssey.com. Download the Odyssey app and listen to KMOX for all the news, sports, talk, and podcasts that move you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Royal Banks of Missouri is your community bank with locations throughout St. Louis, St. Charles, Northeast Missouri, Granite City, and Jerseyville, Illinois. A bank branch is not far away. Royal Banks brings an experienced staff and products and services designed to meet your professional and personal financial needs. Investing in our communities, one client at a time. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, member FDIC, and equal opportunity lender. Looking for a new home or to refinance your current mortgage? Royal Banks of Missouri wants to be your home buying partner. With a local staff that will guide you through the process, Royal Banks is an experienced mortgage lender that you can trust. There's still time to lock in on a low rate. Call 314-212-1500 today. Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Member FDIC and equal opportunity lender.
When you need to know what's happening, it's time to get in the huddle.
This sham with Steve Keim out there in the desert, I mean, it's like no accountability. Never my fault. It's never his fault. Stuff just happens. Losses just fall from the sky. It's not Cliff's fault. It's not Kyler's fault. It's not my fault. It's not the owner's fault. We just have really bad luck. Just hang in there and keep throwing money at us, and we'll figure it out. Shut up.
Listen to In the Huddle, available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
A couple do's and don'ts might help you for lower your energy cost this winter. Do's are windows and doors. You can put plastic. The hardware stores sell kits, so they do work. Major thing if you have an attic fan in your hallway in your house or on the second floor or in a bedroom, whatever, again, duct tape and plastic, because that's a major place where your heat is being sucked out of your house. Do not spend thousands and thousands of dollars on a furnace. If your house is not fit, what good would it do to put in an extremely high efficient furnace? But that's why you call me. If you're in doubt or if you're in need of a furnace for this winter, call me, Bart Inman, Bart with a B, Inman with an I. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. It's 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. Remember the B and the I. Bye.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats are on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. John Michael Montgomery, live in concert.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Bad Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena, Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Bad Geeks live. Research seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Bad Geeks. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. At Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
It's on Goddard.
Big fly, Nolan Arenado.
Driving jam time.
The Billikens win this one.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
Welcome back to Sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome back. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. I'm Tom Ackerman. I'm just a few minutes away from Travis Ford, the head coach of the Billikens. A couple of things that I wanted to mention. One is that this AFC championship, if the Bills win today, will be at a neutral site. Now, I've had a few people reach out like, could St. Louis do that? Could St. Louis be the site? I mean, we have a dome, 66,000 people. Could you have the AFC championship? The answer to that is no. Number one, the NFL would never help us out. We sued them and won in a settlement for $790 million. Stan Kroenke, the NFL. Number two, there's an RV show at the Dome in America Center. So sorry. That's January 29th, the AFC championship. We got ourselves an RV show, NFL. Sorry about that. We're a little busy. We got a lot of people trying to buy some RVs and travel equipment. Okay. No AFC championship. College basketball is on our mind. Travis Ford is next.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT geniuses. George and Mike are the owners. Fantastic guys. They can do all of your IT. They can do a portion of your IT. They have the best Apple support team. Their response time is under 2 minutes. Think about that, under 2 minutes. Something goes sideways with your IT, and they are solving your problem. And they're solving your problem within 2 minutes. Now, let's talk about cybersecurity. Most companies in St. Louis don't have cyber liability insurance. You get hit, you're on the hook, you're probably out of business. With ThrottleNet, if we represent you, we protect you. The first $500,000 that someone hits you for, which isn't going to happen, but if it does, we pay it. $500,000. That's what you're covered for with ThrottleNet. Go to throttlenet.com/DGS for all the information.
The 26th annual Cardinals Care Winter Warm-Up returns this coming weekend at Busch Stadium in Ballpark Village. Current and former players and coaches will be on hand, including MVP Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Adam Wainwright, and the newest Cardinal, Wilson Contreras. Tickets on sale now at Cardinals.com. Can't be there in person? KMOX will broadcast live from Cardinals Nation Restaurant all 3 days, starting Saturday at 10. The Cardinals Care Winter Warm-Up live on KMOX and KMOX.com. For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
It's on Goddard.
Big fly, Nolan Arenado.
Driving jam time.
The Billikens win this one.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
Welcome back to Sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
They deny 4-3-2, throws up a hook off the glass and good from 23 feet. Yuri Collins, a running hook off the glass for three. That's ridiculous.
Oh, that's Yuri Collins. I mean, when things are going well, they go well. Travis Ford joins us, the head coach of the Billikens, sponsored by Royal Banks of Missouri. That's fun. And so is winning. 78-55 over St. Bonaventure. Good morning.
Good morning. Appreciate it. Thank you.
How about that shot by Yuri before we get into the rest of his game?
Well, he was 1 of 1 for 3, so we'll take it. Absolutely. He didn't miss a shot all night long. I think he was 4 or 5 from the field. 3 of 3 or 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 14 assists, and he held a young man on the other team who he guarded solely. The young man who came in averaging 30 points a game over the last 3 or 4 games, held him to 1 point. So I'd say that's a pretty good night.
I would say so. A great night, no doubt about it. What a defensive effort, not only by Uri, but by your team. As you said not long ago, you give up 90, you're not going to win games. And that's what happened against UMass. You give up 55 this time against a team that had not lost yet in the A-10, Coach.
Yeah, we came back from the UMass game and spent a lot of time on Thursday watching film and really breaking down the offense, breaking down the defense exclusively, and really breaking it down and showing our guys again where our problems are. And for some reason, we've gotten in games that become very, we become very individualistic in our defense, and where guys are just kind of being one-dimensional, guarding their own man, but not playing team defense. And we really worked on it Thursday and Friday, and really, thought the guys fully understood and went out and executed it. And the same thing on offense. We scored 80 points at UMass. Now we gave up 90, but we scored 81. But we had a total of 25 what I call wasted possessions of offense, where it was a bad shot, or we turned it over, an unforced turnover, a careless turnover around traffic, and we still score 81. And I thought, so there was a lot to learn. Now, we didn't go out and score 80, but we were more efficient offensively. We took great threes. We got layups. We didn't take a lot of bad twos, which we did against UMass. And it gave our defense a chance to really dig in. And I thought they really did a great job on both ends as far as team defense and team offense.
Absolutely. And you took a 16-0 run into the locker room at halftime. Well, it helped you along the way to take a 16-point lead into halftime. That is a great way to finish 20 minutes, is it not?
It was. And it was good to come out of the gates and play, well the first half. And gain a little bit of confidence and feel good about ourselves, because we obviously know we haven't played the best we can and haven't played great. We've been dealing with a lot over the last 3 or 4 days with, obviously the loss and tough travel to get back from UMass. And when you get back, you get the terrible news of Fred Thatch. And, that kind of took the sail out of, the wind out of everybody a little bit for a 24-hour period. And then we had to kind of regain composure, and because Fred means so much to our team, not just on the court, but off the court, and what he means leadership-wise. And I thought it was good to be going up at halftime the way we were, because I thought, the guys had their shoulders back up and their chin up.
For sure. Very, very important. How is Fred? You just feel for that young man. I mean, when these things happen, you obviously feel for the entire program, but mostly for a young man who has dedicated so much of his life to the game of basketball.
Fred is doing really well. He's probably handled it better than the rest of us. We were all down and sad, and there was a lot of tears. And, I had to give him the news when I found out the results of the MRIs and everything. And he just handled it like he's handled everything since he's been here at St. Louis University. He said, "Coach, I have no regrets. I feel good about what I've done. St. Louis University has made me a better person. And, this is going to continue throughout my life, my career, and whatever I do next." And he's doing great. Fred's going to be fine. Fred, I don't worry about Fred from that standpoint. I hated that his career ended at UMass on the road. I hated that he's gone through so much on the court, but he also has done so much on the court. But more importantly, he's done more off the court. You got to, he gets a degree from St. Louis University, which is not an easy thing to do in 3 years. He's getting his master's degree. He's a leader on our court, on the court, off the court. I could go on and on. So Fred Thatch is going to be fine. Fred Thatch is going to be successful. But he is a true definition of what it means to be a student athlete. And as we've told our players, he has taken advantage of coming to St. Louis University and getting a great education, bettering himself, creating and developing relationships that are going to really help him down the line.
What do you think he will do? I mean, we have the benefit of watching you for 2 hours. We see basketball game and then we leave the building or we turn off the radio or TV and we go on to do other things. You get to see the other 22 hours of the day, just about, of the guy's life. What do you think? What do you think he'll do?
We've talked a lot about it, and we talked a lot about it way before now, over the last probably 6 or 7 months. He's got a lot of things going on through his mind right now. He's got some companies here in St. Louis that had already contacted him before, and some options with some companies. He's thought about going to law school, possibly. He's thought about that. He's got a lot of things that he's looking at. Whatever he does, he will be successful. He has such a great presence about himself. He doesn't like to fail. He has an incredible work ethic. Very smart individual. Whatever he decides to do, whether it's something on his own or he's going to help some company be highly successful, he's going to put everything he has into it.
That's great words about Fred Thatch, and our very best to him, and love to hear that. Got to have a lot of options when you're at that age, and certainly seems like he does. Meantime, your team, when it comes to playing on the hardwood, your option right now is win, win, win. You got to be able to pile them up, and moving forward, now after a win over St. Bonaventure, you continue to play what is going to be a very challenging A10. How do you see the league right now? Obviously, game by game, got to pick them off one by one, but it is going to be a tough league, isn't it?
It will be. Obviously, been said, the league didn't have a great non-conference, but that's all over with now, and you deal with, you're in the middle of a 15-team league that's going to be extremely competitive. You've already seen that out of the gates. There's only one team that hasn't lost, and I think it's going to come down to the last week to decide this league. But there's a lot of really good teams that I think still have their best basketball in them. Hopefully that we're one of those teams. But the old coaching adage, you take them all one at a time. That's all you can do, and you got to try to continue to win at home and go on the road and try to find some wins on the road and. Put, like you said, string some wins together, try to get hot at some point. That's the key, I think, for any of our teams right now.
Something that I've noticed, Gibson Jimerson obviously is your number one scoring option beyond the arc. He's a tremendous scorer, but teams have paid attention to him over the last couple of years. He had 13 points to lead the way. I'm seeing Sincere Parker knocking down some threes. I'm seeing Larry Hughes Jr. knock down some threes. Tell us about those two young men.
Well, those guys have gone through the normal process that it takes for first-time players to come into this Division I level, and especially playing the schedule we have. And we've told them almost every day, you just got to stay positive, stay ready, understand your time will come as you adjust to this level of competition. And I think you're seeing that kind of happen. I'm very, very happy with Sincere Parker. We all know he can score, but he hasn't shot the ball very well at all. But he gets in the gym every morning, 7 a.m. He has an incredible work ethic, great attitude, and it's paying off for him now. And I think he's starting to get more comfortable with the offense but also with the competition and understanding that. His defense has come a long way, and I think he's going to really turn it on. I kind of gave him the example about a month or two ago about Javonte Perkins. Javonte Perkins' first month here, he was coming off the bench, wasn't playing great because he was getting adjusted, but then he came on. He really came on from that point on, and I think that's true, and I think you'll see that out of Sincere Parker. Larry Hughes has just been a sponge from day one. He's just taken it all in, learning everything he could, learning from the other players, being very humble, working on things he need to work on as far as defense, and it's become a really, really good defender. He's obviously shooting the ball well. But what I like about Larry plays with some personality. Larry, he's become a little bit of a leader for us, believe it or not, in practice as a freshman, which is a little unusual. But I think his background, his personality, I'm going to start even asking a little bit more out of him because he's one guy that's not afraid to speak up. He's not a guy, and I'm not talking about speak up, calling guys out. He's high-fiving guys, talking to guys, giving the rah-rah speech sometimes. Been really, really impressed with his leadership ability And I think you'll see him continue to get a lot more playing time and get better and better.
Oh, I love to hear that. It's such a big jump too, isn't it? I mean, Division I basketball is a huge jump from what you're used to. And to be able to not only compete on the floor, but have the confidence to say to some upperclassmen, hey, this is what we're going to do. Let's go. I got you. That takes a lot. And that's nice to see, isn't it?
It does, Tom. You make a good point. Anytime a newcomer comes this level, whether you're coming out of high school, junior college, whatever it may be, yes, the competition is extremely tough for an adjustment, but also just the day-to-day routine is an adjustment. All that's asked out of you, it's more than you've ever been asked, from individual workouts to weightlifting to classwork to tutors to film work. You can name it. It just goes down the line. And, he does. These guys, it just takes time. It's a process that they go through. And sometimes the biggest adjustment is all the things that are required out of you and time management off the court.
Last thing for you, Coach. This is Travis Ford, the head coach of the Billikens on KMOX. We always love talking to him on Sundays at 10:30. We heard you after the UMass game. We heard you after the SIU game. These games are tough to take. And, one of the things that you mentioned over and over is, have we been connected once? Have we, or I guess the word was, have we played together one time all year? I'm not sure that we have. Something along those lines. Did you feel that yesterday?
I did. I told my staff that late last night, that I thought it was the first time we were all pulling for each other going in the same direction on both ends of the court. We've had some nights where we've played incredible offense, but not great defense. We've had some nights where we played great defense and our offense lets us down. And I thought we all just kind of lost ourselves in the game. I thought the players just kind of lost themselves and not worried about themselves, got outside themselves and worried about, am I doing my job defensively for the team? Not doing my job defensively for myself. Am I doing my job offensively for the team? Am I screening? Am I moving the ball where it's supposed to go next? Am I worried? We've talked to them a lot the last couple of days about, don't worry about the last play. Don't worry if you miss a shot. Don't worry, move on and worry about what is next and make up for it. And if your teammate makes a mistake, help them make up for it. And it's a chemistry thing. It's a connection you have to have on the court to give yourself a chance to be successful consistently. You can get away with it every once in a while, but you won't have a high level of success if you don't do it game by game, day by day.
Congrats on the win over St. Bonaventure, 78-55. Tomorrow night at 6, it's the Billiken Coaches Show. We look forward to that, but we always love the chance to visit with Travis Ford on Sports on a Sunday morning. Thanks for talking some ball with us.
Tom, appreciate you having me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Head coach of the Billikens, Travis Ford, with us on KMOX. Mike Kelly, the voice of the Tigers, will be along with us at 11:15 to talk about Mizzou and some college football. They just added an offensive coordinator. Love to see what that looks like in 23. Up next, our Blues breakdown. Blues lost at 5-4 to the Canadiens. Coach Craig Berube and more. Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
Broadcasting from the Underlaw Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studios.
KMOX.
Find your center in the new year. Find your why. Join the Y in January and pay no joining fee. Plus, get $75 in Y-Bucks through January 16th. 24 branches in Missouri and Illinois. No contract. Stop in or visit gwrymca.org.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from thegelmanteam.com. If you want immediate cash for your home or to see what your home is actually worth in today's market, find out for free from the local experts. That's my friends Mark and Neil Gelman at thegelmanteam.com.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of a cut above.
Decades of expertise to transform your home. From so-so to virtuoso.
The power of neighborhood painters.
We live where you live and probably like the same pizza place you do. Put
the power of pro
to work for you today. Get your project started at CertaPro.com.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
It's on Goddard.
Big fly, Nolan Arenado.
Driving jam time.
The Billikens win this one.
Touchdown, Kansas City.
Welcome back to Sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome back to the show. Tom Ackerman with you. Here is Blues coach Craig Berube after a loss.
A couple plays, one play, we don't get it out at the blue line. Comes back at us. Just mistakes. Too many penalties. 8 minutes in penalties tonight.
They were all in the second period. The one that was a 4-minute high stick. Did you agree with that? And
he's cut. So that's the rule.
Yeah. How about Alexander? Alexander said he didn't even see the guy.
Yeah, it's a tough one because the guy was coming off, I think, or coming on. I really didn't take a real close look at it, but it sticks up. So, a tough call.
Yeah, the 4-minute one, man, you guys worked your tails off. You had just like 30 seconds left, and they got it.
Close to killing it off. Just left that open in the slot there in that shot.
Offensively, you guys are finding plenty of offense, scoring goals, but it just still seems like it's been a struggle with the latest round of injuries.
Defensively, the goalie handle, we got to be better with the goalie handle. And then, we get the puck back on it, and we just give it up again. And
a little shaky audio there from Craig Berube, but you get the gist of it. I mean, they're just not playing well enough to claim these games. We said it not long ago on this show, just earlier. We said it almost every Sunday that we're on, is that this team is just inconsistent. It's just they had that one winning streak early in the year. After the 8-game losing streak, they won 7 in a row. But this is a typical Blues game, really, where they've just not been able to hold things down. And I'm not giving up necessarily. I think this team can still put together one more run, but they're going to have everybody on it. I mean, without Ryan O'Reilly, he's out 6 weeks with the broken foot. Without Vladimir Tarasenko, he's out 4 weeks with a hand injury. Those are 2 veteran players, and Tarasenko may get criticized every so often for certain plays, but he is a veteran. And, the younger players, you can call them up all you want and have them come up and contribute. But as I just talked about with Travis Ford, it's a huge jump in so many different ways, not just the play out on the ice, but to have the confidence to just come in and play. And I'm talking like a player like a Jake Neighbors, a good player, but to come into the NHL and just jump right into a room with veteran players and be able to hold your own and have the confidence to play at a high level and to win over your team, it's way easier said than done. Mm-hmm. You cannot lean on young players to just carry you, it's out of necessity now. There's no other way around it. But this is a league where there's no secret why in the playoffs you want veteran players. You want players who have been there before, who have done it, because they're the ones who have the confidence. They're the ones who lead the room. They're the ones who can brush off criticism or heat from a teammate, or, they've got a lot of pressure on them because there's a lot of money involved in the league. They're getting paid a lot of money, so they got to show up and honor that next contract that they're going to get, or, justify the money and all that stuff. It is a high stakes, high pressure league, much different than the minors, incredibly, exponentially different. So what I'm saying is losing those players and other veterans is a very, very difficult thing to take. Here is a veteran. This is Justin Falk. Let's hear what he had to say.
Fun, but operating with 5D, that had to be a little complicated tonight. Huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the ideal situation, obviously, but we've all been through it before. It's something that happens every now and then, and you got to find ways to play good hockey game. I think the game was obviously there for us tonight, and we just didn't execute well enough, didn't defend well enough to get the result we needed.
Yeah, again, audio just a tad shaky there, but you can get the gist of what he's saying. 5D, man. I mean, this was my worry from the start of the season when they lost Scott Perunovich. Again, there's a young guy, but good player. And Marco Scandella, two defensemen that they were going to lean on. They lose those two. Now your defense has taken a big hit because those two have surgery. And you've got to stay healthy and you've got to stay consistent. And they just have not had that. You know, now then Krug gets an injury and Parayko has some blips that he goes through. You know, good player, nice guy, has some problems. It's a team with not enough defense and a team with some firepower on offense, but you're asking Kyrou, Thomas, and some of these others to light it up each and every night. Buchnevich, to me, is one of their top players, if not the best overall player for all the things that he can do. When he was banged up, it showed. Brandon Saad is going to sneak in some goals for you. He looks, you know, he's got that smart veteran presence. But I hope that the Blues can keep it going. I just know what we all see, and we see pretty much a 500 hockey team. And whether they can start to make a move here in the conference or in the division, I hope that's the case. But for right now, it's a tough road. It is just there's no other way around it. It's going to be a tough road for the St. Louis Blues. Now, when you look at the standings and you see that they're right there with the Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, you're like, well, wait a minute. I mean, why can't this Blues team get past them? Well, if you get past them, you got all kinds of heat up in front of you that you got to get over. And a lot of these teams are going to show up on your schedule. So there is an opportunity, but there's also an opportunity to fall back even further. The standings show this right now in the Western Conference. Let's look at the conference first, then we'll break it down by division. The Blues are the 11th place team in the Western Conference. Just is what it is. They're the 11th place team in the Western Conference. Now, they do have only 6 points separating them from tonight's opponent, Minnesota. And Minnesota is the 6th place team in the conference. But in between there, you got other teams in the exact same situation. Calgary, 45. Edmonton, 45. Colorado, 43. Nashville, 42. And the Blues with 41 points. They've played 40 games. Colorado's played 38 and has 43 points. They're halfway through the schedule, so you can sit here and evaluate it and say, where are they? The record says what it says. Your record says you are 19-8-3, 11th place in the Western Conference. They're going to have to get on a run to get past Nashville, Colorado, Edmonton, Calgary. That's who's blocking you between tonight's opponent, Minnesota, who's only 6 points in front of you. That's how tight it is. Seattle, for that matter, has 48 points. They're the 5th place team in the West. So if you get on a tear, yes, but the odds of getting on another tear are pretty slim. We'll see. In the Western Conference division race, in the Central, the Blues are 6th in their division. They're only Arizona and Chicago behind them. You know, so it's just not to paint a bleak picture, but you know, they're going to have to. This is a crucial month where they play 7 straight home games starting Tuesday. Calgary twice, Tampa Bay, Ottawa, Nashville, Chicago, Buffalo. You got to win them.
Yeah, you got to get some wins.
You got to get 5 out of 7, you know, or preferably 6 out of 7. I don't know if you can get them all, but you got to get after it. And those back-to-backs against Calgary will help you immensely, but we shall see. Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio. And what we have for you coming up next hour, I think, is a lot of fun. One, we are going to update you again on some of the headlines of the day. That'll be out of the 11 o'clock news. Then at 11:15, the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly, will be with us. I have so many things to talk about. The Mizzou basketball team, the Mizzou football team, adding an offensive coordinator, and the national championship tomorrow, Georgia and TCU. We'll get all of his thoughts on that. 11:30, John Mozeliak rejoins us. We haven't talked to him on the show for a little while because of the holiday last week. We didn't do a show on New Year's Day. We had a nice best of, which I thought was fun. And before that was Christmas. So it's been a while since we had John Mozeliak on the program. That will happen at 11:30 this morning, Sports on a Sunday morning. And then we will have our NFL preview at 11:45. And among other things, we will talk about Damar Hamlin coming back from a dire situation to be able to communicate with his team. And yesterday on Twitter, and Buffalo is alive with enthusiasm and rejuvenation, and they play the New England Patriots today, and they just might drop 70 on them, Drew Young. For that matter, we'll have some picks. It is 10:56 from the Stiefel Sports Studio. Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. Next hour, let's have a good time here till noon on America's Sports Voice in downtown St. Louis.
Help us map the broadband gap. Missouri's Office of Broadband wants to connect all Missourians to reliable, high-speed internet. But we need to know who doesn't have access. Go to ded.mo.gov/getconnected to check the FCC map and see if you are listed correctly. Don't wait. Go to ded.mo.gov/getconnected today. Brought to you by the Missouri Department of Economic Development.
I don't know how to ask.
They know what sounds are funny.
Or what smells are funky.
That's right. No one knows their furnace like they do. So go ahead, ask.
Okay. Is your furnace funky?
If it is, then make but one call.
And Jerry Kelly will be there the very next day.
Call anytime, 8 to 8, 8 days a week.
And Jerry Kelly will fix your furnace or install a new one the very next day.
JerryKelly.com. The real estate market continues making headlines for both buyers and sellers. The big dilemma for sellers like you is finding the right buyer willing to pay the right price, right? This is Debbie Monterey. And while most agents will make big promises, Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty will actually present you with an upfront written guarantee. It states that Gloria will sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she will buy it guaranteed in writing. Does your agent compare to that? Gloria is able to make this bold offer because Gloria already has the buyers in her exclusive buyers in waiting program. So before you list your home, do your research and get to know Gloria Liu like I have. Gloria has solutions and options for every seller because she knows that every situation is different. Call her today and ask about Gloria's no obligation cash offer program or her guaranteed sold program. 314-325-6888 or online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
You know when you start up a motorcycle and you hear it go vroom, vroom, vroom when it takes off? I was losing that. I was losing my energy like everybody does as they grow older. And I don't want to be tired. I don't want to look tired, and I don't want to be tired. I started using Balance of Nature about 1.5 years ago, noticed the results immediately, and I went, oh my gosh, this works. This is what I've been missing all my life. I'm loving life actually more than I ever have. I missed my va-va voom. I got it back.
Experience the Balance of Nature difference for yourself. See why Kathy Lee Gifford and thousands of others have had life-changing success with Balance of Nature. Take advantage of our New Year's offer while you still can. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com. That's 1-800-246-8751 and get $25 off plus a free fiber and spice when you use discount code KLG.
KMOX KECK HD2 St. Louis.
The home of the Cardinals. KMOX. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by General Steel.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. Heavy rain, flooding, and mudslides continue in California. KCBS TV's John Ramos is in the San Francisco Bay Area.
In the area of the Oakland Hills known as Piedmont Pines, the heavy rains and high winds have taken their toll on the huge trees. Tim Ports and Elizabeth Froust say they've never seen anything like it.
Oh, this is way more than you. This is way off the charts. Cumulatively, what we experienced in the last week is cumulatively more than I can say we've experienced in 15 years.
Combine years of drought with multiple atmospheric rivers, and large mature trees all over the Bay Area are being overwhelmed.
President Biden heads to El Paso, Texas to view the migrant situation at the southern border. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas on ABC spoke about the crisis at the border.
We want individuals who qualify for relief under our laws to come to the United States in a safe and orderly way. And that is why we are building lawful pathways.
Republican Kevin McCarthy elected Speaker of the House after multiple ballots over multiple days. Some conservatives consistently opposed him, including Representative Chip Roy. But he tells CNN conservatives did get significant concessions from McCarthy.
We got the ability to offer amendments on the floor of the House during appropriations. We put more conservatives, some Freedom Caucus members, and we're still working through who those will be on the Rules Committee, the powerful Rules Committee, which is the funnel by which legislation gets to the floor of the House.
Some of his New York constituents are calling for newly sworn-in Congressman George Santos to resign. WCBS TV's Dave Carlin picks up the story from there.
A rally in front of the office for Congressional District 3.
What do we want? Investigation! When do we want it? Now!
We are only focused on removing George Santos and making sure we get a special election.
Santos admitted he lied about his background, including attending Baruch College and working for Goldman Sachs and Citigroup.
German police claim to have foiled a terror plot. Here's CBS's Vicki Barker at our foreign desk.
Officers in hazmat suits raided a house near Dortmund last night and detained a 32-year-old Iranian man whom they charge was planning an Islamist attack using the toxins cyanide and ricin. No such chemicals were recovered at the scene. Police say they were acting on a tip-off from what they call a foreign intelligence service. Vicki Barker, CBS News, London.
Pope Francis speaking to the faithful in Rome today while overlooking St. Peter's Square.
Non dimentichiamo I nostri fratelli.
The Pope said, let's not forget our Ukraine.
Our top story, it's a question political minds are asking. What will come out of President Biden's visit to El Paso, Texas? Republican strategist John Hancock told KMOX this morning.
I hope that experience spurs him on to want to try and address that crisis and that problem, because it is a real crisis at the border.
Democratic strategist Michael Kelly responded.
With the Republican Party in disarray, Joe Biden may be able to help wag the dog here, where Democrats and moderate Republicans can come up with a border bill that wouldn't be the ridiculousness that you would expect from some of these extremist Republicans.
Meanwhile, a congresswoman who represents part of the Metro East was one of the dozen-plus Republicans who flipped their support on Friday to Kevin McCarthy for the Speaker of the House.
Mary Miller says in a news release, quote, "Thanks to those who insisted on change, we can now celebrate an historic victory for the conservative movement, despite intense pressure for us to give up and accept business as usual in Washington." Miller says changes were made to ensure a Republican-controlled House cannot betray conservatives the way that Senate Republicans did when they passed the president's $1.7 trillion omnibus bill. She goes on to thank former President Trump, Freedom Caucus Chair Scott Perry, and House leaders Kevin McCarthy and Jim Jordan for their work. Brad Choate, KMOX News.
An abandoned church on the city's north side went up in flames Saturday. What used to be known as the Sanctuary at the corner of Rosalie and Redbud quickly made 2-alarm status. St. Louis Fire Captain David Neighbors told Fox 2.
In the winter, we are more cautious about getting more companies rolling just because of the potential of water issues and stuff like that. But mainly this is a second alarm due to the size of the structure.
Neighbors said a man in the basement kicked out a window and firefighters helped him escape. He was treated at the scene for smoke inhalation. The No Time to Spare Animal Rescue and Sanctuary in Warrenton says it took in 27 dogs Saturday that had been living in Franklin County. The conditions were described as deplorable. Shelter now asking for donations, both monetary and through supplies, to help care for the animals. The best way to do that is the website, nttsars.com. No Time to Spare will also be looking for homes to foster the dogs. This afternoon's temperature about 43. Then we're going down to 30 overnight. Warming up tomorrow, though, partly sunny and mild with a high of 55, about the same on Tuesday and Wednesday. Right now, it's 35 degrees in St. Peters and in Florissant. It's 36 downtown at the Arch. I'm Scott Jagow, KMOX News.
There's a high fly ball from KMOX Sports. That's hit deep to left field, and it's a gunner. Big fly, Nolan Arenado. There's a moment for you. Driving jam time. And the Billikens win this one. Comeback pattern caught. Touchdown, Kansas City. Now, sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome back to the show. It is 11:06. Thank you, Scotty Jagow and the Buffalo Bills. We'll be talking about your team on the way, 11:45, our NFL preview. Before that, John Mozeliak from the Stiefel Sports Studio, Sports on a Sunday morning on KMOX. I'm Tom Ackerman, the president of baseball operations. Will be with me. Appreciate so many people who listen to that throughout the season and off season, and appreciate Mo for kicking off 23 with another edition of his visit right here on KMOX's Sports on a Sunday morning at 11:30. I know a lot of people like to listen to that to get information. He'll tell us as much as he can about the team's plans here in this offseason, which is still ongoing. It's not like the offseason is over. I mean, free agent lists are getting a little bit smaller. Spring training, though, hasn't started yet. In fact, it doesn't start for over a month. So, just because the winter meetings are over, the hot stove is still cooking. It's still lit. So we'll see what the Cardinals end up doing. It's not like it's over. So we'll talk to John Mozeliak about that here shortly at 11:30. 11:15, the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly. Boy, has he been busy. Tigers playing in a bowl game. Tigers have a new offensive coordinator. Tigers basketball team beats Illinois and Kentucky, and yesterday they beat Vanderbilt after losing to Arkansas on the road. So we'll talk to Mike about all of those things, and I want to get his thoughts on the national championship. I saw someone mention this on Twitter. I don't know who it was, but I do appreciate it. Can we get a movement to have college football's national championship played on Saturday? This Monday thing doesn't do it for me. And by the way, it's way too long, not only from December 31st with the semifinals to here this Monday, but way too long since the conference championship games and the end of the regular season. You got to wait all that time. And I know the kids have finals, and I understand, but my gosh, I cannot wait until this college football playoff. I've been saying it, and our former producer, Tim Klutsaritz, who's now the news director of a great television station down in Fort Myers, he and I talked about it back 20, 25 years ago. We used to sit in the studio and make up brackets. We'd said, why can't they do a 16-team playoff? Why? Why can't they have league champions and then a panel picks at-larges? Why wouldn't you want to do that and make some money? Why create the drama and the controversy and the same teams all the time? Get a tournament. That's what makes college basketball so great. It's what makes March Madness such a moneymaker. And now they're getting closer to that. They will have a 12-team playoff starting not right away, but very soon. And I'm looking forward to that. But this national championship tomorrow, it's still going to be great. There's nothing wrong with Georgia TCU. Just on a Monday night doesn't do it. Play it on a Saturday. That's college football's for Saturdays. That's just, anyway, one man's opinion, I guess. Although I did see somebody else on Twitter reflect that very thought. Also, Travis Ford talked about a player during our conversation, and that's Sincere Parker. And I thought we should play some of that because the Billikens, who won yesterday 78-55 over St. Bonaventure, it's a significant win. And this, I believe, is a significant development. You have now another scoring option from the outside. He is smooth. He can knock down shots. He is Sincere Parker visiting with Bob Ramsey.
And joining us right now, Sincere Parker. He had 9 points. He had 3 threes tonight, with one of them at least ridiculous range. Sincere, how are you? Congratulations. Nice game.
Good. Just finished the win at home, just protecting our home court. So that was the main thing we talked about before the game, just protecting our home court and just come out first.
Going back to UMass, you hit a long one from straight on. That was your first one. And since then, you've been in a groove. How big was that to hit that first one at UMass and kind of get your confidence going, knowing that you're a really good three-point shooter?
Yeah, it definitely boosted my confidence just to see that I can make shots. The work that I am putting in is paying off. So, it just felt kind of good to see it go through. My teammates giving me the ball, showing me they trust me. So that makes me feel good as well. So I just have to keep their trust.
Am I right that getting a volume of minutes, you have 21, a little over 21 tonight, lets you not rush things, lets the game come to you? Is that accurate?
Yeah, it's kind of accurate, but not really because, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. There's no conscience.
I just try to get in, help my team, But however the game goes, I'm just going to try to adjust to it.
Today, like you said, protecting the home court, not only you shown defensive intensity as well. How much has that really improved in your game this year?
It's definitely something that I just having to keep amping up every day in practice. Coaches on me a lot about it, so I just have to keep building on that.
Great to see your success, Sincere Parker. Thank you very much. Good win, and we'll talk to you later.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.
That's Sincere Parker. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more in a moment.
Thank you. That's Bob Ramsey and Earl Austin Jr. from the game yesterday. Just I want to say a couple of things about Sincere Parker. He is not new to big-time college basketball. I mentioned Larry Hughes Jr. with Travis Ford about that adjustment to Division I. It is a significant jump. Sincere Parker has jumped into Division I basketball. I understand that. But this guy is a player, just so everyone is aware. He is a sophomore. He transferred from Moberly Area Community College, so he has 3 years of eligibility remaining. Anybody who knows anything about Moberly knows they ball at Moberly. I mean, it is legit junior college basketball. Sincere Parker was a first-team All-American in the NJCAA. First-team All-American. That means he's among the 5 best junior college basketball players in the country. So this is not somebody who just rolled from high school right into SLU. He can play. He averaged 22 a game last season at Moberly. He shot 49% from the floor, 30% from three. He can be better than that. He's a good shooter, but 30 is not bad. 49% from the floor is good for a 6'3" guard. He led the NJCAA in total points, second in field goals, and he ranks 6th in the country, knocking down 96 three-pointers. He is a player. Just so people understand, we're talking about an elite shooter. If Sincere Parker starts to gain confidence and is another outside threat for SLU, they could get on a run. Now, we all know this by now. They need to win the A-10 tournament to get in the NCAA tournament. Their non-conference was not pretty. Nobody in the A-10's non-conference was pretty, so the league took a couple of knocks down, and a lot of people, including Joe Lunardi, the bracketologist from ESPN, they believe the A-10 right now is one bid league. So that's not good. But if you're the one and Sincere Parker becomes that threat that could help you stretch your offense out a little bit and get it going, I think it's a big development that in the third A-10 game of the year, he calmly knocked down 3 threes. And I just like the way he answered that question. I like the way he talks with confidence. There's something about him I really like, and it's the confidence that comes out of just the way he talks. His kind of fun basketball IQ feels very strong too. I'm really high right now on Sincere Parker, maybe too much so, but I think that you may see the development here over the next month of a player that SLU desperately needed. They needed. We'll come back, and a team that is ahead of schedule, that's the University of Missouri. They are fun to watch. The Tigers' voice, Mike Kelly, with us next on Sports on a Sunday Morning on KMOX.
John Michael Montgomery. Live. The multiple Grammy, CMA, and ACM award winner. John Michael Montgomery with McBride and the Ride. Friday, October 20th at the Family Arena. Reserved seats are on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster. John Michael Montgomery, live in concert.
Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks. May 9th, the Family Arena, Progressive Pioneers. Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks live. Research seat tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office at the Family Arena or through Ticketmaster. Don't miss Yes, Epics and Classics featuring John Anderson with the Band Geeks.
JRS season is now upon us, and scientists tell us it may be the biggest JRS ever.
Junk reproductive season.
This year, it's even spreading to the Christmas trees.
Is it going to be enough to slow down the magic?
Sarah, nothing can slow down the magic of 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
I knew that. I was just pulling your leg.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
And that includes Christmas trees. Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOT-JUNK.com.
Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, and fine watches. Bring your collectibles and clocks, sports memorabilia, and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa. Call them at 314-752-5000. That's 314-752-5000. So if you need some extra cash, looking for that one-of-a-kind piece, make Jewels on Hampton your first stop. Jewels on Hampton in St. Louis Hills.
What really matters to you? At Archwell Health, that's what matters to us. When Linda told her doctor about the trip her family planned for her 70th birthday, our team worked together to improve her mobility. Then there's Shirley, who wanted to lose a little weight. She and her doctor chose an Archwell Health exercise class, and her dietitian also had a few ideas. We're here to help you live your life to the fullest, because you are more than a patient. Join today at archwellhealth.com/livewell.
It's on Gunner. Big fly, Nolan Arenado.
Driving jam time.
And the Billikens win this one. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Welcome back to Sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
From the Stiefel Sports Studio, Tom Ackerman with you. Sports on a Sunday morning. We are joined by a former host of this program, the voice of the Tigers. Mike Kelly is with us on KMOX. Good morning, Mike. How are you, pal?
Hey, Tom, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's great to hear your voice. It's great to talk to you. And what a great time it is to be a Missouri basketball fan. They're a lot of fun, aren't they? 85-82 win yesterday over Vanderbilt.
Yeah, they are fun. It's a different style, and it's a much more enjoyable style, that you're seeing, and obviously winning has a lot to do with that. But it's been as you can see by the number of people that are showing up at Mizzou Arena is that people have this team has developed an identity with its fan base, and the fan base has been appreciative of the way that they played.
Absolutely. And how much of that falls on Dennis Gates? How active was he, Mike, in planting that seed early with the fan base and in particular the students?
Well, he's been terrific on all counts. I just so thoroughly enjoy spending time with him. He is he's so calm. He's wise. He's wise beyond his years. He's constantly thinking. Really did a terrific job going back to the spring and engaging fans and telling them how important they were to what his mission is at Missouri. Actively being involved in trying to get the students to come back to the games. I mean, meeting with student groups, et cetera. And so he and his staff have done a really fantastic job throughout the course of the first 15 games.
I just loved watching them. The way they played against Illinois was inspiring. The way they played against Kentucky, Mike. I mean, they treated missed shots like they were turnovers. You missed a shot, you better get on your horse because Missouri's going to beat you down the floor. I mean, it was fun. What a great day that was.
Well, and recognizing, where you have opportunities to take advantage. I mean, if Missouri, as you've seen by the way that they've been out rebounding each of the last two games, I mean, it's where you have to. You can't get into half court games. You have to be able to make the game a 94-foot game, put pressure on people. Using your defense to create turnovers. And then taking advantage of what you do, and that is penetrating and pitching the ball and hitting open shots and taking threes. And so, the interesting thing has been, and again, it's a group of older players, and so that's to the advantage of anybody in their first season. But the way that they've been able to grasp and really lock in on game plans each and every game that they've played so far, and the give and take that takes place between the coaches and the players, not only during practice, not only during shoot-arounds, but during the course of the game. Watching Kobe Brown yesterday talking to the assistant coaches about what an opponent may or may not do in late game situations. And in this, reference, it was talking about Leon Robbins, the 7-footer, and just as the timeout is ending, getting a input from Kyle Smith-Peters, who had done the scout on, okay, where does this guy like to have the ball? Will he step out and shoot a three, et cetera? And so, that type of attention to detail is the reason why they've won 13 of their first 15.
Smith-Peters, such a smart guy, really is, always has been throughout his career and as a player also. And I loved your interview. I heard it pregame before the Kentucky game with Dickie Nutt, my old friend, who I believe had the scout on Kentucky, didn't he? Which is why you talked to him. He did. He has a great wealth of knowledge. Dennis Gates just has this, like you said, wise beyond his years. He has the big picture idea of what a basketball organization needs to be, I think. And he learned that from some of the best.
Well, Coach Nutt, obviously a former Division I head coach, Coach Young, a former Division I head coach, Kyle Smith-Peters, former junior college head coach and assistant at the Division I level. And what I like, Tom, is, this is the confidence that Dennis has in himself, is that, when they gather and folks that have watched Missouri play, you've seen at halftime, they gather in that circle before going into the locker room. And that's to, first of all, allow the other team to get off the court, but also to kind of, okay, let's have a quick little recap. And after practices, after shoot-arounds, the coach in that circle will address the team, but then he'll look to his assistant coaches and other staff members to have them say what they give input in terms of what they just saw. And then the players do the same thing. And so it's that give and take and that open, honest dialogue. Dave Matter wrote about, the conversation that Dennis had, spending about 2.5 hours after landing late Wednesday, early Thursday, landing back in Columbia, the conversation he had in his car with DeAndre Golston, just about, again, just talking basketball, talking life, but also talking about, hey, this is where we need you to impact this team. And so that type of conversation and that type of input and the willingness for a head coach, particularly a young head coach, to not think it's got to all be about me, to be able to have that understanding, to have input from others, I think is huge.
The Tigers win it over Vanderbilt. Great points, Mike. Tigers win it over Vanderbilt 85-82, and it just doesn't get easier. Road games at A&M, at Florida, and then home games against Arkansas and Alabama within the next 2 weeks. Wow.
Welcome to life in the SEC, right?
That's right. Football. This is life in the SEC. It's hard. It is hard. And Eli Drinkowitz has learned that. He's had some good wins. He's had some tough losses, including one that he could have gotten against Georgia, the team that's playing tomorrow against TCU. I want to get to that in just a moment, but first, Kirby Moore. He's the offensive coordinator for Eli Drinkowitz with a nice resume. I mean, he spent that time at Fresno State. He worked under Kalen DeBoer, who was a very good offensive coordinator at Indiana briefly, now the head coach at Washington. This is a man who knows his X's and O's on the offensive side, doesn't he?
Well, yeah, and obviously he's adept at the game. His brother's the offensive coordinator with the Dallas Cowboys. A young man that's been around the sport for a long time, and certainly has his creative ideas that he'll be able to bring into the coaches' offices and implement during the course of spring. But it doesn't matter who the coordinator is, right? You got to have players. It's all about the Johnnies and the Joes and not the X's and O's. And Missouri's got areas that they have to be able to, I think, still fill gaps. During the course of the next several weeks, whether it be through the transfer portal, through signing players, They just picked up an offensive lineman today. I saw committed from Eastern Michigan, and so there's still spaces to fill. And the big question is for Missouri, and everybody knows it, is Brady Cook's health and how he does in terms of the time period coming back from shoulder surgery. I think Brady Cook had a better year than most people will give him credit for. I thought down the stretch he did everything that you want a quarterback to do in terms of his ability to not turn the ball over, to be able to get your team in scoring position. Certainly down the stretch in the regular season, they called upon his legs, and then you find out that he's done this with an injury that he's sustained back in week 2 of the season, and it really just underscores just the toughness of that kid. But coach's job is to recruit a player that's better than you at your position. And so, again, not knowing the timetable on his return, I still think Missouri probably looks to try and add to the quarterback room through the transfer portal if they can do that. We'll see if that happens. But I just think there's a lot of questions on the offensive side. I mean, you got to find, can you find a playmaker at tight end? Can you find more productivity from your wide receivers? You lost your most dependable wide receiver in Bannister. And so, young talent, but young, unproven talent at this stage.
Yeah, the transfer portal is just crazy right now. Although we had Drinkowitz on not long ago, and he said, I can't wait to do some portal shopping. He just has some fun with it, and they're going to do all they can to stay competitive in that tough SEC. Mike, the SEC champion Georgia Bulldogs will be taking on TCU in the national championship tomorrow. How do you see this one? I mean, these two teams well.
Yeah, Tom, until you beat the champ, you go with the champ. Yeah. And Georgia's closing in on something that, very few have been able to do, and that is to repeat as a national championship. And certainly Sonny Dykes has been unbelievable. And to imagine that, when Missouri had an opening, Sonny Dykes was not somebody they considered a couple of years ago, which is remarkable to me. But having said that, he did a terrific job, and talk about a guy that's changed his roster through the transfer portal. That's TCU, but they've had great seasons. Dugan's a terrific quarterback. They just haven't played Georgia, and I just think that's a whole different challenge for any team, is not only how surgical Georgia can be on the offensive side, but just what their defense can do to teams. And so, and Georgia had their game where they escaped, right? To be able to come back and beat Ohio State. I just believe that Kirby Smart has and his program has taken over the mantle from Alabama in terms of the program that others are judged by. And to me, again, until you beat the champion, I got to go with Georgia in the game.
Yeah, I hear you. That is the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly. Mike, you're so good at what you do, and you're so good to come on Sports on. Thank you. You're great to come on Sports on a Sunday morning. You know that anything we can do for you, we will do. So thank you so much for this.
All right, brother. Have a great day.
Appreciate you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. There's the voice of the Tigers, Mike Kelly, on KMOX Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio. John Mozeliak is next.
They're good.
Gooder than you can imagine.
And you can assure me that they've got it going on.
Most of St. Louis thinks so.
But my lips are turning blue. Are they fast?
My darling, Jerry Kelly can install a new furnace tomorrow, no matter what day tomorrow is, even if we call late night.
You are my hero.
Technically, Jerry Kelly is your hero, but I'll take it.
JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. JerryKelly.com.
KMOX Enter Service Weekend, sponsored by Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Installation.
Hi, this is Kent Newbold for Newbold BMW. We just celebrated our 35th year as a BMW dealer by finishing our multi-million-dollar renovation. So come see it. It's Newbold BMW in O'Fallon, Illinois, or newboldbmw.com. You'll be sold on Newbold.
We're joined once again by Dr. Colleen Bosler of the Audiology Center. Doctor, let's address the elephant in the room. Over-the-counter hearing aids.
Charlie, it's no secret that a cheap amplified listening device has been on the market for years. But what makes these devices different in recent news is that they now can market them as hearing aids. So there is a newfound interest. But it's important to understand that these devices do not have a prescription for the patient's specific loss, which can be dangerous and ineffective. And at the Audiology Center, I love to help people, educate them, get them to know the major differences, and I want to guide them towards what's best for their individual needs.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Make an appointment today at 636-441-7470 or simply online at audiologycenterstl.com.
Now, the John Mozeliak Conversation on KMOX. Sponsored by your Gateway Acura dealers, Munganast St. Louis Acura, and Frank Lita Acura on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Welcome back to the show. We are joined by the Cardinals president of baseball operations on this Sunday morning. That is John Mozeliak. John, thank you very much for being with us. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, Happy New Year. It's been a while, but as spring training approaches, I guess we got to get back in the swing of things. And winter warm-up, obviously, is next week. So I think we'll be in full swing here in the next few days.
Yeah, I'm heading out on the Caravan with your guy, Randy Flores. I can't wait to do that with Lars Nootbaar.
I'm sorry to hear about that. Hang in there.
I like him. I like chatting with him for sure. Lars Nootbaar, who, could be your starting center fielder. We'll see. Zach Thompson and Gordon Graceffo is going to be on that Caravan along with Alan Bennis. I got a good one. I really did. I'm looking forward to that. And then the warm-up, which is at Live by Lowe's, a new venue, Ballpark Village, and all of that entire area. Really, Ballpark Village is the epicenter of that. What do you think about that? And are you looking forward to that craziness? We haven't had all that in a while.
Well, a couple of things. Yeah, I'm glad we're back open for business. I think that's exciting for fans, and obviously the last few years have been a little disappointing not being able to have this. Your routine and how you go about it, but I hope this works. I hope the fans find it where going between buildings and get the experiences that they have in the past. I hope that happens. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to seeing how everything unfolds. And my busy day there is next Saturday. So by the time I talk to you next Sunday, I'll give you some feedback.
All right, good. Oh, is that when you visit with the media and talk to fans and all that stuff?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like a three-pronged approach. I do media, I do something on a stage, and then I do a little signing as well.
Oh, gotcha. All right, big day, no doubt about it. And you're always good about answering all the fans' questions and handling all of those. I don't know many GMs and presidents of baseball operations that put themselves out there like that. So and that's not the only place you've done that. I've seen you do it many times. So I know you're going to get this question. You're going to get a lot of questions about payroll and about talking earlier in the offseason about resources. How will you handle that? I know you're going to answer those when they come. But yeah, how do you
handle it? I handle it honestly. I think one of the things that we did have an opportunity to increase payroll, which it will be higher than what we played at last year. So that's fact one. And number two is, just because you have resources, you're not just going to go spend it wildly on something that doesn't make sense. I mean, we knew what we had to accomplish this offseason. We went into it with the hopes of doing it. And then as other things presented itself or unfolded, it just didn't get to the point where we were excited enough to necessarily do it. And, that might, depress people or disappoint people, but, my responsibility is to adhere to the franchise, adhere to ownership, and do what we think is best for putting together a winning club. And I do think we are in a unique situation, maybe relative to other teams, where we do feel like we have some emerging talent, up and coming talent, and we just don't want to go down a path where we don't create that opportunity and then regret not having that opportunity for individuals as we enter 2023.
So that sounds like right now that if you're expecting fireworks, big splash, something like that, don't get your hopes up. That's what it sounds like.
Right. I mean, you never rule anything out, right? Something could present itself that makes a whole lot of sense that we haven't talked about or explored to this point. But in terms of looking at our club, there's just, there are names that get bantered about that we're just not going to trade. And, in doing so, it does, I guess, create some level of paralysis and something. And then when you say, well, what are you trading for? Right now, the bet we're making is on Waino, Michaelis, Flaherty, Montgomery, and Matt. And, you got Dakota in the wings, but you're hoping that gets you a lot of innings. Now, I know people are like, well, some of those guys didn't pitch much last year. What are you getting out of Jack? I mean, these are decisions that internally, we have confidence in and we believe in. So, we'll find out if we made the right decision or not once we play the season.
Yeah, I guess it's just a matter of getting them on the mound and seeing what they can do. Starting with Jack, what do we know about his progress here in this offseason?
I think he's having a really good offseason. I think that's probably the one difference between us and the general public, right? We get, weekly feedback from our medical staff, from our performance department, what people are doing, how are they doing. So I think off-season preparation, especially for our starters, have been, really encouraging. But I could say that throughout our entire roster. The decisions that we've made or didn't make are predicated on feedback we get. And so, I'm pretty excited about what we're hearing. I'm certainly excited about this club. And, I always feel like, winning the off season is not necessarily the best strategy in the world. Now I get it. There's some teams that have been ultra aggressive and, you read about them daily, but, we're fortunate. We have a really good core. We have good players, and we have young players that are desperately trying to make sure they reestablish themselves in terms of contribution. So Cardinals, I think, are in a pretty good place. We're really excited about what we have, what we're hearing. And, a month from now, we'll be down in Florida. And, of course, that's when it all begins.
One of those players is Tyler O'Neill, isn't it? I mean, here we are.
Sure. I mean, you think about Tyler, a year ago, he was, getting MVP votes. And then last year, he did not have the year I think he had hoped for, that we had hoped for. And that's something that, what can we expect from him moving forward? Now, I can say, we feel like he's having a good offseason, a productive offseason. Of course, it's going to come down to production. But when you think about Tyler O'Neill, when you think about Dylan Carlson, you think about Lars Nootbaar, okay, got to go out and play, got to go out and perform. I think that's a pretty simple message to everybody. And then, the exciting thing is we also have young guys looking to get those at-bats. When you think about your Paz Burleson, and not to mention you have a young man by the name of Jordan Walker who's going to start knocking on this door. And it's going to be a matter of time where, his knocking is going to open it. So, that's the part you got to just understand that, we see what's coming and, we believe in it.
I mentioned at the start of this interview that Lars is going to be on my caravan. He could well be the starting center fielder. Dylan Carlson may have something to say about that if he's healthy and ready to rock and roll. And then you just mentioned Jordan Walker. I mean, it is open for Walker at right field, isn't it? And center field is open. Well, left field's open. Aren't they all open?
Yeah, I think that's the way we're going to approach it. I mean, obviously you can pencil in names because a lot of these guys deserve that opportunity because of what they've done. But reality is it's going to come down to how they perform in camp, how they've used their off season for that preparation. And, ultimately we'll probably have some tough decisions, but usually when you have tough decisions, that's a good thing. When, I've been a part of many spring trainings where you struggle throwing 25 names on it, right? Because you just have, injuries, poor performance, etc. But when you really have a hard time making that 26-man roster, that's a good thing. And that means it was a competitive camp and guys came ready. This year is going to be a little bit different. I think we, all have to sort of manage our own expectations on how the WBC is going to affect what we normally see in a camp. But nonetheless, we'll follow our guys that are playing the WBC. I think the biggest thing for fans, it's really going to just create an opportunity to see some of these younger guys get real opportunities in spring training where they're not having to split time with some of the veterans.
I asked you about Flaherty. I should ask you about Matt's also, because that was a huge acquisition for you last offseason. How is Steven doing?
Steven's doing great. I think last year, I think there were a lot of uncertainties with what was going on because of the labor situation, how people prepared, what they were doing. All signs say that he's having a really good off season and he's excited about where he is. So, I expect big things from him. He's a guy that I think is capable of eating innings. I think he's in a place he likes, and I know he wants to be someone that makes a big contribution to this club moving forward.
Adam Wainwright, you would never second guess somebody like that. Every time you doubt him, he comes roaring back. Michaelis is a horse. Montgomery has a proven track record and showed you what he could do last year. So there's your 5 now. And you mentioned Hudson. I think it's a fair question to ask that, do you feel like you have the depth in case something goes wrong? Because we have,
I do.
Yeah,
I do, because I feel like when you look at other names, but you can throw these out there as guys that give you depth pieces, and obviously Dakota's going to be one of them. Palante would be one. I think Zach Thompson would love the opportunity to start. I think Jake Woodford could be a starter in this league. I think Drew Verhagen is going to come for starting innings and ask for those. And given the fact that it's the WBC, he might get to be able to be stretched out in a normal camp. It might have been a lot more difficult. So, net, I do feel like we have guys that are, currently on our 40. And then you also have like these emerging players, like, what's going to happen with Graceffo this year? Obviously he had a huge year last year, put himself on the national radar for sure. And I think he opened up a lot of eyes. And then, Livator's a guy that made starts for us last year. I think McGreevy took a big step forward. So, it's always going to be, giving people opportunity. The good thing for us is we draft well. We feel like we develop well, and that model has worked for us.
Wilson Contreras behind the plate. Andrew Kisner backs him up. You still have Ivan Herrera. The catching position has been strengthened. You do have you had a desire at the start of this offseason to add some horsepower to the bullpen. You just mentioned a couple of names there, guys that throw pretty hard. But how do you see the bullpen as it stands right now?
Well, I think it'll be an exciting one to watch. It'll be sort of interesting to see how these guys we picked up. We definitely added some velocity to the bullpen. Now the key is going to be, can they throw strikes? Is it just a straight 99 or does it have movement? But that'll be something I think that we can watch as camp unfolds. But overall, I think it's going to be a competitive camp, because even though we kind of know the certain positions that are set, first base, third base, you could argue shortstop, but it's still going to be where those guys aren't in camp. So a lot of these younger guys are going to get an opportunity to play all over the place. So I think it'll be a fun one to watch, and certainly looking forward to it.
Also, final thing, I know that you spent some time with Ollie Marmol in this offseason. The two of you traveled to talk to Wilson. I'm sure the two of you remain in constant communication. How is the manager? We're going to catch up with him, not today, but we will get him on the air here pretty soon. How is he doing as he enters year 2? By the way, it's the first offseason he's had where he's been able to talk to the players. He had to deal with COVID and a lockout.
Yeah, obviously a very unique offseason last year for him. And I think, look, he's spending a lot of his energy just talking with some of our new coaches, from a planning standpoint. But he's, fully focused on getting camp organized right now. He's excited about what we have coming into camp, and I know he's looking forward to it. And we still talk quite a bit. Spent some time with him yesterday on the phone, and I know he's just looking forward to getting down to Florida and getting it going.
Well, best of luck to you Saturday at the warm-up. It's a big day, John Mozeliak Day. We'll catch up with you Sunday morning and see how it went.
All right, that sounds great. See you, Tommy.
Good to talk to you. There's John Mozeliak, president of baseball operations, with us on KMOX's Sports on a Sunday Morning. Great to catch up with him. It's 11:45. Quick break. NFL preview. The kickoffs beginning at noon. This is Sports on a Sunday Morning from the Stifel Sports Studio.
For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules. The St. Louis Women of Achievement Award is the oldest ongoing program in the area, whose sole mission is to honor and recognize the volunteer service and volunteer leadership of women. Nominations are currently open for the 2023 Women of Achievement. Nominate a woman who volunteers in the community and makes a difference in the lives of others. Or if you're one, Women of Achievement wants to hear from you. Nominations, including self-nominations, may be submitted now through January 10th. Head to WOASTL.org.
I'm Brian Westbrook with Coalition Life. Over the past decade, Coalition Life has served thousands of women in crisis pregnancies, helping to save the lives of the children that they carry. Help us build a better community while also reducing or completely eliminating your Missouri taxes with a 70% tax credit. A $1,000 donation today to help these women could cost you as little as $141 out of pocket. Learn more at coalitionlife.com, coalitionlife.com. Thank you.
When you hire your local CertaPro painters, you get
the power of doing it right.
Detailed project proposals, excellent customer service, and trusted professionals who get the job done on time and on budget.
The power of experience.
We're kings of the scaffolding and pros with the stucco. We've been there, done that. Get your project started at CertaPro.com. And get
the power of pro.
Each CertaPro painter's business is independently owned and operated.
Hey friends, Matzo Matt here for Brew Pub Lots of Matzo Pizza. It's a new year, a new chapter, a new season per se, to adopt all those changes that you're going to make to help you become everything that you desired to be in the last year, but came up short. Well, one thing that isn't changing is the deliciousness of a Brew Pub Lots of Matzo Pizza. Yep, new year, but same great high quality mozzarella cheese that you've come to expect. And yeah, new set of months, but same pizza that's loaded with toppings in every bite, along with that flavorful, generously proportioned sauce on a thin crust. Times are changing, but Brew Pub Lots of Matzo Pizzas are consistently the best and available at your local grocery store.
It's on Gunner. Big fly, Nolan Arenado. Driving jam time. And the Billikens win this one. Touchdown, Kansas City.
Welcome back to Sports on a Sunday morning on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
It is Sports on a Sunday morning from the Stiefel Sports Studio. Tom Ackerman with you. Welcome back. John Mozeliak just a little while ago. I'm sure the comments are building here on our YouTube page. Drew, what do you got? What are people saying?
People aren't happy. You know, they seem to want more pitching.
Sure.
They seem to want like changes there. But I mean, like Mo said, he's kind of, like you said during the break, he seems to be stuck on it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, he's a believer in what he has right there, and it is certainly debatable. I think now keep in mind that, you know, he's not going to tell you everything that's going on, but I think when he says on KMOX, and, you know, the message gets to the players that he is set on this team and he's a believer in that 5-man rotation and the depth, I think that's what they're going to do. Now, if things start to fall apart and break down, can they keep themselves competitive by the trade deadline and drop the hammer and throw down for a couple more starters like they did last year with Quintana and Montgomery? That's what was able to right the ship and get them to where they needed to be. Or do they go out and make a monster splash, a Juan Soto type splash, which they were trying to achieve at the deadline, and they keep their options open and those quote unquote resources that they have? So what he basically said, in case you missed it, is that they believe in the rotation, and they made the move that they set out to do, was just get a catcher. They got Wilson Contreras, and that's what they're basically rolling with. Now, he said that resources, I'm not going to quote him verbatim, but we'll replay it for you, is that just because you have the resources doesn't mean you're going to wildly spend on something that doesn't fit for you or something that they don't believe in. So it's never been a team that throws huge contracts at a pitcher anyway. And if they were to land a pitcher, they would do it via trade. And it doesn't sound like the players that are being asked to come out of this organization are players that they're willing to part with.
Definitely.
So there you go.
It sounded like there's somebody that people want, but he's not willing to.
And
give
not
away.
deny the opportunity to those young players to go out and do something. So we're talking about, I mean, Jordan Walker's not going to get moved, but, you know, somebody like a Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman, Juan Yepes, Alec Burleson, he named them. The players that they're going to see give some opportunities, they don't want to regret another, he didn't say this, but I will, Randy Arozarena situation to come up where the guy becomes Babe Ruth in the postseason, or Sandy Alcantara becomes the best pitcher in the National League, that kind of thing. So That's John Mozeliak. If you want to rewind, it started at about 11:32, I think, on our Odyssey app.
And a key block by the left guard, Tom Ackerman. And right here, let's go downstairs to Moss.
Marv, if you remember that big run Robert Holcomb had on the first drive, one of the guys responsible on help busting him loose was Tom Ackerman.
Tom Ackerman up front, and this is a unit that has played very well. A good night for Eddie George, 21 carries, 74 yards. The left guard, Tom Ackerman, with the block that set him free. It's a first down.
Okay, thank you very much, Marv, Bonnie, Westwood One from back in the day. That, of course, was the other Tom Ackerman blocking for the Titans. What a disappointment the Titans were, although, they dealt with a lot of injuries and banged up, and Mike Vrabel tried to get them going, but 7 straight losses to end the season for the Tennessee Titans. They lost yesterday to the Jacksonville Jaguars 20-16. That put the Jaguars into the playoffs as the as the division champion in the AFC South and a home game. I mean, you win the division, they're 9-8. You get a home game, and they're going to host the Chargers in the playoffs. Playoff scenario is quite interesting. Right now, here's basically it. I'm not going to go through single thing. It's kind of boring to say, if they lose, if they tie, if they this. Yeah. I'll tell you the straight up easy ones. The Packers, if they win tonight against the Lions, they are in the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they can't possibly lose that game tonight, could they? Well, they're not playing any pushover now. The Detroit Lions are good and not great. They're good. And the Lions are also playing for a playoff spot. If they win and the Seahawks lose to the Rams, they get the help that they need. And the Detroit Lions, of all teams, would be in the playoffs, one of the woeful franchises in NFL history. So if the Rams somehow rise up and sting the Seahawks, and they can, the Seahawks are 4.5-point favorites this afternoon at 325. If the Rams win that game, look out. Detroit could well spring up and surprise Green Bay and go to the playoffs, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Packers will take care of business. If you're a betting man or woman, it is a -5 spread. Green Bay, I think they'll cover that. That's a decent amount of points, but I think they'll cover that. I do like the Packers tonight. That's one scenario. Another one is New England can make the playoffs also. They need a ton of help too, though, and I don't think there is any chance. I think the Bills, who are 8.5-point favorites, are going to smash that spread. The Bills are home against the New England Patriots tonight, and Damar Hamlin, who is the safety who was resuscitated on the field Monday, spent several days in ICU in critical condition. There will be a raucous crowd, emotional crowd there today in Buffalo. What a special day. That game is on CBS, by the way, if you want to check that out. I'm looking right now at Jim Nantz and Tony Romo talking before the game. What a special, special day in Buffalo. And congratulations to all of those people there. Our hearts are with you for sure as they host the New England Patriots. So the Bills, if they win this, will play the AFC Championship would be played at a neutral site potentially because those teams, the Chiefs and the Bills, would have played uneven records. So there is a possibility of a neutral site AFC Championship game. The plan was approved Friday. It could determine home field for a wild card between the Bengals and Ravens by a coin flip. There's all kinds of stuff going on. So the Chiefs clinched the number 1 seed in the AFC when they beat the Raiders. The Jaguars wrapped up the AFC South when they beat the Titans. The situation is this for the rest of them. Here's where it stands right now in the playoffs. You have the teams that have clinched a berth. The Bills have clinched the East. The Chiefs have clinched the West. The Bengals have clinched the North. The Jaguars have clinched the South. The Ravens and Chargers have clinched playoff berths as well. In the NFC, the 49ers clinched the West. The Vikings clinched the North. The Buccaneers clinched the South. What about the East? Well, not yet. The Eagles have to win today, and they can earn that number 1 seed. But they have clinched a playoff berth along with the Cowboys and the Giants out of the East. The Eagles do already have a first-round bye. They are not going to play in the wild card. As it stands right now, Seattle would be playing at the 49ers, but there's still work to be done there. The Giants would visit the Vikings. The Cowboys would visit the Buccaneers. And New England clinches that berth, as I mentioned, with a win or a Miami loss and Pittsburgh loss. Miami can clinch a playoff berth with a win and a Patriots loss. That seems a little more likely. They'll be playing the Jets today at noon. The Steelers can clinch a playoff berth. If they win, they take on the Browns. No easy game there. It's a long-time rivalry. They need the Dolphins to lose and the Patriots to lose. That's possible. Maybe. I think New England's going to lose. The Jets would have to lose. Would have to beat Miami in that scenario. So we'll see. The Eagles can clinch home field advantage through the playoffs. All they have to do is knock off the Giants. That's your team.
Yep.
So we'll see. It's going to be fun regardless. I love the NFL playoff season. I'm not a big – I have to admit, I have not watched an NFL game all the way through start to finish this season. I kind of pick and choose my spots. I'll watch for a little bit, then go do something. I'll listen. I like listening to NFL radio more than I do watch it on TV because I like doing things while the game is on. But I do like the playoffs. I really do, especially when snow is falling. That's always fun. But the NFL playoffs are a lot of fun. Yes, I miss having a team here, but it's kind of nice to not have a team. Then I don't have to deal with any heartbreak. I just watch for entertainment value. Although I am pulling for the Buffalo Bills. I've already admitted that on 50,000 Red Hot Watts. Thanks for joining us on KMOX's Sports on a Sunday morning.
Hey guys, Glover here from my friends at ThrottleNet. So I'm so very proud to have represented the guys at ThrottleNet for all of these years. They are the IT